Oh, guys, what is up? It's Teach here, coming at you again with another video over on the center, this time on Ark Survival Ascended. You can see that I am inside of a new creature that just got released, and this is the SHASTASAURUS. Now, it is a massive creature. You can see I am in the, if you want to call it the tank underneath it, or the submarine underneath it. You can call it whatever you want, but it's a really neat structure, and essentially it allows you to have an underwater castle, if you want to think of it that way. You can see that I can kind of like link up foundations inside of this thing, which is kind of cool, and it automatically goes to a single foundation that doesn't block very much, but it automatically kind of like stays inside of the structure, which is really neat. So you can place structures inside of these things, and they are really cool. So let's go ahead and show you what it's like first off, right? So it is this massive creature, and they just introduced it into the center. And you can see that I'm right here, and it kind of just, you know, hangs right here. So they're really neat. They are very easy to spot, and that's due to the fact that they, when you have them, they are, I guess, on a map. They will jump out of the water and make a giant splash. They are tameable, as you can see. I haven't bothered to try and figure out how to tame them yet, but I don't know if it's a knockout or something along those lines. But yeah, so this is what they look like, and I will talk about how to tame them in a different video because I haven't bothered to figure out the best ways and stuff like that yet. But the inside of the actual cavern for the sub underneath is huge. Huge. And they have a bunch of special abilities. So these SHASTASAURUSes, I haven't totally gone through all of them, but you can actually control and right click to go backwards and or forwards inside of the actual abilities. And you can see there's a flashbang, sonar, periscope, torpedo, pulse, and then back to the flashbang. Now you can launch the torpedoes and you can kind of activate the abilities just by hitting right click. So we can run a flashbang just by actually, you can see it right there. It releases a giant flashbang in front of it. And then we can go ahead and go to the next one. Notice how it does have a cooldown though. So you can't just like switch between all of these abilities. Because that'd be kind of broken, obviously, right? But the periscope is pretty freaking cool because you can actually zoom in with this periscope, and it kind of just like teleports you to the surface and allows you to look at different things. Now, obviously, there's practical uses of this, minimal, but if I was to go a little bit further down where it's kind of difficult to see me, that's where it becomes a little bit more useful because the periscope itself kind of gives you a little bit of an ability to kind of zoom through the water. Now, where it is kind of nice is if you go to the periscope itself and you barely go to the surface, you can kind of like ease a little bit and see up onto the surface. And that can be kind of neat in order to actually get it done. You can also kind of just like while you're swimming, go through this thing and actually periscope while you're kind of barely out of the water like this right here, which is a super useful thing. Now, obviously you can see the electric eels still go after you. So these things are targeted by just about everything, which sucks. I've noticed that every time I'm in the water, something wants to attack it, which is really not great. And it does have a left click attack for a front attack, like you see right there. It's got a slam with the tail. And then after that one, you kind of get like, if you're looking forwards, you'll be able to use the bite attack. But if you're looking backwards, you'll use the tail slam attack. And the forwards one, it does actually gather quite a bit of resources when you're in the water. But if you look backwards, he'll slam his tail. So you kind of have a tool action front and back attack, which is very useful for a lot of purposes, honestly. But just so you can see, I am free swimming at this point in time. We got the periscope. Let's go ahead and click, and I'll show you the sonar ability. And he kind of does this like chompy thingy. Really not going to go in the water? Please. And loading. And he sends out a sonar. You can see that it's kind of like, it's funky, but it does ping everything in the general region. And it will place pings on things. I don't think it necessarily places a ping on aggressive versus non-aggressive tames, but it is pretty easy to see those things when it does actually ping them. So let's go and go a little deeper because we know that an anglerfish is technically an aggressive tame, and so are sharks. Let's go ahead and ping again. And you can see that it just pings them all in blue. So it will ping everything on the bottom of the ocean and the location, which is kind of cool because you can kind of just sit through the ocean and run this ping system out. It does look like the anglerfish doesn't fear this guy either. So it does definitely attract a lot of things to it. The flashbang, now the pulse, I don't know quite what the pulse does. But let's go ahead and find out. Why not, right? Boom. So, okay, it looks like it sends out some sort of pulse wave. Not quite sure what that pulse does. Maybe it's like a slowing wave, but that appears to be some sort of special attack. But in order to switch between these attacks, again, you're going to hit control and left or right click, right? And then the actual torpedoes, I'm assuming that there can be torpedoes that are made inside of the game because it doesn't naturally get them. Torpedo? No? Maybe I don't see torpedo at all, which is interesting. I feel like torpedo should probably be in the game, but that doesn't make too much sense. But okay. Because I don't have the ability to make one in my inventory and I don't see one. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're not in the game somehow or somewhere, though. When I try and go to torpedo, it just says 0, so that's red. It won't let me shoot either. It requires torpedoes. Yeah, that's great and all, but there's not really, I don't know. I don't see the way to make them quite yet. 'Cause when I look into my try and learning of things, it doesn't give me any access to actually making the torpedo. So maybe there's a way to load it somehow yet, but I don't know yet because I can't learn it. At least I don't think I can. Torpedo. There's Bob's, Tech, Genesis, Extinction, Aberration, Scorched Earth, Island. Yeah, it's not Tor, T-O-R-P. Nope, not in there. I don't think there's like an explosives either. Explosives, no, it's nothing. So I don't see a way to do the torpedo. But just so you can see, these things are huge. They're like, I don't know, 20, maybe 15, 20 foundations in length, which is enormous. They do swim decently quick. I wouldn't call them fast by any means. You're going to, with like the ichthyes and things like that, you're going to definitely outrun just about any of these. But the big thing is that saddle, right? That 25. And then their base health goes up significantly, like 3,000. And this was like a level 135 tame. So their base health seems like it can get crazy high. So these things are going to be huge tanks. And with that torpedo and things like that, the actual access to it, the Shasta is going to, in my opinion, it's going to turn into, it's definitely not a PvP tame because of how big its hitbox is. It's going to make it very easy to target. But PvE wise, it'll be a fun tame to be able to use and kind of go inside of this thing. And you are inside of the submarine when you are using it. You can see that free swimming is what it's doing right now, which is kind of cool. I don't really, it looks like that's kind of what I've got the ability to do. The control doesn't seem to necessarily do anything attack wise. And then alt doesn't seem to do anything either. So it kind of just gives it this ability to move. So it's in my opinion, just a massive creature, right? The free swimming torpedo, we can switch the abilities back and forth between all those. We showed you what those do. Obviously, in order to aim the torpedo, you would have to hold, but I don't have any torpedoes and I don't know if they forgot to put them in or something like that. But yeah, I don't have any torpedoes and I haven't been able to see them either. So maybe they're like, you only get them from a drop or something like that. And that's the only way to get torpedoes, but I haven't figured it out quite yet. And you can also change the periscope height, which is kind of cool, just so you can see. Let's go back to the periscope. There we go. So periscope height. Let's go ahead and right click. If you, there we go. That's what I wanted. So you can go way under the water and then hold left click and then scroll. And it'll raise the periscope height up quite a bit. And we can kind of like swim towards the surface and you can kind of see that you can get a little bit under the water when we do it. But these things, just so you can see, male, female, so they will probably have the ability to breed because they have all of the, there isn't anything on them that would indicate they can't, which is a big thing. The one thing that will kind of suck a little bit is that saddle. If you pull anything off of it, whatever's inside of it's getting destroyed. So that kind of sucks. And it looks like you're kind of fall through the earth, which is unfortunate for that, but you know, it is what it is. So let's go ahead and look behavior, and they do have the ability to mate. So you will be able to breed the SHASTASAURUS, which is kind of cool. And they do have some unique functions, right? Because you can enable wandering on them. Looks like harvesting, there's nothing super special. The SHASTASAURUS in general does look like it's going to have some really neat functions on it. At least I think it will. I mean, alone, just having that submarine saddle is pretty freaking cool. So, I mean, it's just a monster. So, yeah, this is just a quick intro to what it is and how, I guess, how you can use it. There looks like there's going to be some neat things. The one thing I will say might be interesting is it looks like I've been able to mesh just a little bit with the submarine itself. But, yeah, pretty neat, the actual functionality. I'll do some more testing and stuff like that, but I just wanted to get you a quick video of what the SHASTASAURUS can do. Again, and maybe I'm missing it for the torpedoes, but it does seem pretty neat. So hopefully this video helps you out. And other than that, teach.